been 3 months since the inception of the iPhone 10. I updated you at 1 month experience, and there's a couple more scratches, a couple more things I want to share with you with this device. And if it's still even worth your time here, seeing as there are going to be some new iPhones just in 6 to 8 months. So let's find out if it's still worth it. Let's go. So here we are with the iPhone 10 3 months later. First of all, that design still remains very fresh, one of the freshest you can buy right now on any smartphone as the recording of this video. And that camera game is super strong. I actually think it's now better than my Note 8, which I used to think was a better camera than this, but after using this, this is probably the better camera. Now, in terms of balance and weight, it's a really good balance, but here's the downside I've noticed right away, and it keeps getting worse for me over time, is the stainless steel edges do produce more scratches than I was expecting, especially considering the price point of this phone. Now, volume rocker and silent switch area is just fine, and it's weird because some sides of the phone is just fine, but over here by the volume where you would have speaker, there's some scratches right there. Now on the screen, I do have a screen protector, so no issues there, but up at the top where it was exposed, I don't see any scratch going on there. So screen I'm pretty happy with. Now on the rear, there is some chipping in the glass. You're not gonna see it here on camera because it's very hard to see. You have to see it right in the right light. But one thing I didn't like is this camera hump on the rear over 3 months. It's just annoying when you're trying to type on a table and it does hit the surface like this. It'll rock a lot. And the power button I thought was a little bit too large. I actually accidentally pressed this too many times because it was too large, but really the star of the show of this phone is that display. That's an OLED display sourced by Samsung, and it is fantastic, beautifully calibrated. And the first thing I want to discuss is its sharpness. It's incredibly sharp. No matter what you're looking at on the screen, text is just super clean and super easy to read on this device. Now, there is some issues with PWM at night, post width modulation, which basically means there's a display flicker at nighttime if you get it too low, but you know, your eyes should adjust to it overall. But I really liked how you could just take text all the way down to the bottom of the display. Let's go and discuss the elephant in the room, which is the notch. Now, the notch to me didn't always get in the way, and a lot of applications are updated to fit this display with the notch. So, you know, as more developers get on board with this, it should get better. But where I really noticed the problem was here with the text right here. So you can see it cuts right into my text, and this never stopped annoying me. I've been talking about this since day one with this phone, and it still hasn't changed for me. So I really don't like this because I use the reader mode a lot on my iPhone. Now, also here in video, when you are watching a video, you can see right here that the video does cut right into the notch right there. So it's definitely a distraction if you are trying to focus in on some of your content that you are watching on this device. And here's another example on my YouTube Studio app where the phone is getting cut off by the notch. So when people say it's not really a problem, it does become a problem from time to time, but the overall color and saturation and calibration of display make it a great quality panel, and definitely ahead of recent iPhones. As you can see right here, there's this night and day difference. So let's talk about the software here with the iPhone 10. One of the biggest changes you're going to notice immediately if you do purchase this device, and I am running iOS 11.3 and I'm just testing it through beta here, but what it's really about here is the gestures. Now, yes, I definitely have gotten used to using these gestures, but I still don't find them as practical or functional as using the home button. It doesn't feel as fast in my experience. However, I did like from time to time how premium it felt to just swipe through the applications. It felt a lot like a trackpad on a MacBook or an iMac trackpad. So that was really nice. And the notification tray and the control center definitely felt a lot like Android, something I wasn't used to on an iPhone, but definitely not a strange experience as I am used to pulling a lot of stuff down from the top on Android devices. But one area which I really didn't like was the ability to pull reachability down from the dock. It didn't work as well as using the double tap on a Touch ID home button, but 3D Touch did work fantastic on this device, and having a narrow display was pretty much a joy to use here on this device. But you also get some new wallpapers here with the iPhone 10 that seems to not come on the other iPhones unless you download them from offline. And performance, I'm not going to discuss it too much because we all know it's blistering fast. Most phones are fast these days, and the iPhone 10 has really gotten better since iOS 11.2.5, so it's only going to improve from here. The camera, however, is one area that you really want to take note of if you are buying this device. this is definitely the best iPhone camera. You know, the 8 Plus is about the same as this camera, but the vibration when you are taking a picture definitely screams premium. Almost every photo you take with this device, it just kind of knows what to do, and it gets a great photo. Now, I do think the Pixel 2 is still ahead of this camera, but for as far as iPhones go, this is definitely the best I've seen, and that zoom functionality, the telephoto, is amazing. Recording from 24 FPS and 4K all the way up to 60 FPS is also a new addition here for the iPhone 10, and 1080-60 remains. So you have definitely plenty of video modes, everything you would ever need from a smartphone, and smartphone videographers and photographers are really just gonna love all these functionality. However, it's a little bit annoying that I have to keep going into the settings just to change this stuff. So you might want to keep it at where you usually record video if you don't want to keep doing that. And the new file format saved me some storage. And I also did like the volume rocker taking photos on here because of the size of the iPhone 10. It felt like a little nice point and shoot. It's a pretty nice compact experience on this device, and all goes well for the front camera as well. You have most of the same modes. You do even have portrait here, which sets the iPhone 10 apart from the 8 and 8 Plus series, and it worked well, and it's getting better when it comes to softening out the edges, not making them too, you know, blown out on the sides. So definitely getting better in the later editions, and I expect it to even improve further. But also, I did like on the lock screen that you had this little 3D touch button to go ahead and to get in the camera, but I would still have liked a double tap on the power button. But check out these samples for yourself. I'll share my battery life experience here with you for the past 3 months. Now, first of all, on 11.3, this battery health section is available, but it's not effective on the iPhone 10. So don't think that you're even going to use that for the iPhone 10. It's not going to need it here, as they're not going to be messing with the battery at all. But I didn't like that you always had to pull down the notification tray to get into the percentage. That was just some little thing that annoyed me using this device. Now, when I was doing video, especially in 4K, I would definitely drain a lot of battery life on this phone. Doing things such as just doing some of your everyday Instagramming, doing some iMessage, keeping that brightness pretty low, definitely saved a lot of juice. And one thing I would recommend if you do have or are getting an iPhone 10 is to put a black wallpaper. Pretty much goes for all OLEDs. It does save some battery life, and keeping my location services off saved me a lot of battery life. But on the whole, I was getting about 6 hours of on-screen time, so I'm pretty happy with the overall battery life. A lot of people say it's not as good as the 8 Plus, which I agree, but it's still better than the 8, so it's kind of in the middle of those two. But speaking about audio, you do have a speaker on the bottom right as well as up on the top here, and this is hands down the best audio experience I've seen on a phone all year. I think I've said that in the past, and I continue to feel this way. Whether you're listening to music, watching video, you still have to use a dongle to get into the headphones, but thankfully Bluetooth 5.0 is here, and it makes it easy to listen to music. Very fast connectivity here. So overall, I like the audio experience for the iPhone 10, and I think you will too. Now, in terms of portability, just take a look at this iPhone 10 next to the iPhone 8. There is really about the same size. There's just a slight little difference in terms of height. So really, I mean, is it portable enough? I would say so. It's a very ergonomic experience. It curves in the hand nicely, and it felt balanced. So I like that about this phone as well. Now, phone call quality is something that I haven't talked about too much in the past, but this device definitely has never had any dropped calls, which is great to report after 3 months, especially if you do talk on the phone a lot. And signal strength has been strong. You know, some older iPhones had signal strength issues, but this is not one of them. So they hit this one out of the park when it comes to just phone call quality. Now, some miscellaneous stuff. Texting on this phone was a little bit narrow, so my thumbs would kind of hit each other and play a little games when I was texting, and I wasn't as accurate as I am on more Plus devices, but that just might be my hand size. And I accidentally would screenshot a lot on this device for some odd reason, probably because that power button is too large. And last but not least is Face ID. If I was waking up in the morning with one eye open, one eye closed, the Face ID just couldn't recognize me. Or if I was just waking out of a nap, wouldn't recognize me. Or if I'm wearing a ski mask, but most of the time it did work in good daylight and when you look directly at the phone. So it's pretty good overall, just still needs some work in my opinion. And overall, the iPhone 10 after 3 months has been a 50-50 experience for me. It's not as great as I thought it was. There was a lot of hype around this phone, and I still don't think this phone warrants a $1,000 price tag. I think around $900 would have been definitely worth it, but still, this needs some refinements. But overall, it definitely represents the future of iPhone. What are your thoughts? Share them down below. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.